we'll learn introduction of digital image processing and some other basic details of digital image. So I am sharing this subject along with Shefali madam. So she is going to take chapter 3 from the book, that is Gonzalez, as you are aware, and I am going to cover chapter 1 and 2 from the textbook. So this is our first lecture. So we'll discuss about introduction of digital image processing, its various applications in different areas, how to represent the digital image, and many similar things. So I hope my voice is clear and I am sharing my screen with you. So can you see the screen? Okay, so now let us start with our today's goal. So our goal is, what is a digital image? We'll define that term. What is image processing? We will also peep into the history of image processing, difference between a computer vision and image processing, because these two fields are almost going together. So we'll understand a slight difference between the two. We'll understand the applications of image processing under various electromagnetic spectrum. So in that we'll cover how we can use gamma rays for image processing, X-rays for image processing through ultraviolet band, infrared band, microwave band, visible spectrum, radio wave band. Also, we'll see which are the essential components to perform a task of digital image processing and what are the steps which we can carry out in the digital image processing. So this is the goal of our sessions, or we can say this is what we'll learn in the chapter 1 of the book. So let us start with the first one. So what is a digital image? An image may be defined as a two-dimensional function f of xy, where x and y are plane coordinates and the amplitude of f at any pair of coordinate xy is called the intensity of the image at that point. So right now, when we are using any device like a mobile or laptop, we can see that our screen is a two-dimensional screen. So that is your nothing but, we can say, xy coordinates. For every position we have certain x and y coordinate, and if you are familiar with the softwares like Paintbrush, you can move the mouse cursor and you can see the xy coordinate of any position. So basically an image is nothing but a two-dimensional plane, and having, for each and every point we have a corresponding x and y coordinate, and for that particular position we have some value which is known as amplitude, so, or intensity of that particular point. So that is how we can represent the image. So image is nothing but a two-dimensional xy coordinate plane, and every point has certain fixed value which is known as amplitude or the intensity at that particular point. The term gray level is used often to refer to the intensity of a monochrome image. So now when we are using the word gray level, so that gray level is different from black and white images. So in earlier days, if you are looking at the pictures, or if you are using any image processing softwares, online or offline, then you will find that we have various effects on the image. You are able to convert your image into a grayscale image. So that grayscale image is nothing but various combinations of black and white. So it is various shades of black. It will start from the black, then will reduce the black from it, and finally it will reach to white. So basically various shades of black and white is known as a gray level. So it is a grayscale image. It is basically a grayscale image, variations of different shades of black. It will go from black to white. So it is known as a grayscale image. So earlier days, we can say around 40 years back, if we consider 40, 50 years back, the movies were in the form of grayscale images. If you go to, for your, if you have your album of your grandparents, you may find that albums are nothing but a grayscale images. You will find grayscale images in the albums of your grandparents. They are not colored images. There was no color in the beginning. After that, if you go through the history of this image processing and movies and all that, you will find that Eastman colors have been added into the movies. Very popular example, if I will give, you might be aware with that. There is a popular movie called Mughal-e-Azam, in which the star was Dilip Kumar, who just died today, I think, or maybe yesterday. I got that news from Yahoo. So basically, he was the star in that movie. So in earlier days, that movie was released in the grayscale form. That was a black and white movie. And later on, after several years, around 10 years back, it is converted into a color movie through a image processing software. So basically, the grayscale images are the movies which you have seen on television, which are liked by your grandparents and parents, and they are actually the grayscale images, a set of grayscale images, which does not have any color. So color images are formed by a combination of individual 2D images. For example, in RGB color system, a color image consists of 3 individual component images. So to form a color image, they are using 3 different two-dimensional planes. The first plane, two-dimensional plane, is representing your R component. The second two-dimensional plane is representing your green component, and the third two-dimensional plane is indicating your blue component. So basically, when we consider RGB image, it is having 3 layers. The first layer, first 2D plane R, then second 2D plane, it is green, and third 2D plane is the blue color. That is how we are getting a color image, which is a combination of RGB color system, or it can be some another color system like HSV. It is also one of the popular color system. Then YCBCR is also a popular color system. So basically, there are 3 planes for 3 different colors used in that system. It can be HSV color system, it can be YCBCR color system. And we have 3 different planes, one plane for R, another plane for G, green, and third plane for blue color, that is B. And if you represent this individual planes, then we can say a digital image is like this. You can see we are having a XY plane with 0 to n minus 1. Normally, if you are using a C language as an implementation, our array is from 0 to n minus 1. And rows will be indicated as 0 to m minus 1. So I can say it is an image with m rows and n columns. This is how we'll define the size of the image. We have m rows and n columns. Normally in various toolboxes, if you are using Octave or MATLAB, the index will start from 1. So in that case, we can say it is represented as 1 to m and 1 to n. We have m rows and n columns to represent the digital image. If it is a 3-dimensional image, we have 3 such planes. So the size of the color image will be m cross n cross 3. It is very simple. If it is a grayscale image, the size of the image will be m cross n. If it is a color image, the size of the image will be m cross n cross 3, because we have 3 different planes, R plane, green plane, and the blue plane. So basically, if you consider any image like this, and if you consider zoom that image, then you will find this kind of actual intensities for every point. So here you can see that this particular image, if you zoom it, you will find this kind of black and white intensities for every xy coordinate. So here I can say for position 0 0, if I consider here, it is position 0 0. If you match with this previous one, 0th row and 0th column, then we can say that 0th row and 0th column, it is almost very close to a black. So intensity is 0. Similarly, at some point we can say it is very close to white. So here also you can see in this 2x2 image, it is a grayscale image. This 2x2 is taken from this image which is at the top, a small portion from it. So you can see that 254, that is almost white. Our intense grayscale values will range from 0 to 255. Our values will range from 0 to 255. So 0 is representing your black and 255 is representing your white color. So that is how we have a grayscale image. So if you zoom that image, or if you open any image in the paintbrush, you can see that for every point there is some value. For every point there is one value. So if you want to see, we can also do that here. We can open one image in the paintbrush and you can see the impact also. So I can take any particular image and I can show you that. So basically when you open any image, you will find these things. So I'm sure that you might have done this kind of experiments. So for every point which you have the corresponding picture. So when you click on any particular coordinate, so that's how you can understand the thing. That for every point you have the corresponding value. Okay, so it is a very image size. So this digitization process requires decisions about values for M, N, because it is showing the number of gray levels allowed for the each pixel. How many gray levels are there? Where M and N are positive integers, the number of gray levels typically is an integer power of 2. So normally, because we are using a binary number system, they are considering the number of gray levels in the form of 2 raised to k, where k is the number of bits required to represent a gray value. So now when I put the value of k equal to 1, that means it is a pure black and white image. When k is equal to 1, it is a pure black and white image, because 2 raised to 1, it will give you 2. So one color will be 0 and another color will be only 1. So it is 0 and 1. So we have only two values, that is black and white, no other shades of gray. Now when I put k equal to 2, it is 2 raised to 2. That means we have 4 different gray levels possible. We have 4 different gray levels possible. We can say black, then gray, then we can say similar to white and pure white. So that is how we can show that we have total 4 different colors in the image. So L is indicating the number of gray levels we are using in the image. So if we want to consider size of the image, then it depends purely on this, that is M cross N cross K. So number B is the bits required to store a digital image. So if the size of the image is M cross N, and if I'm considering only a black and white image, then I can consider that as a pure black and white with only two colors. So let me show you that so it will be more clear, I think. So let me take one image and then we can go into it. So you can understand this, I think, in a better way, because we have this software. So let us take the advantage of that. Let me open one image and I can show you this thing. Suppose this one, let me share this screen so that you can do this and you can understand this thing. Okay, so I think this will be a good idea, right? So let me share the screen one more time with you. So I'm sharing another screen. It's very simple. Are you able to see this screen with some colors in it? Yes. I have deliberately taken an image so that you can see the different colors. Can you see this new screen? Yes. So now let us see that what I will do, that I will change this is a color image. So now as and when I'm moving the cursor, you can see it is showing the different positions. Right? It is right now it is 658. Current towards this right hand side, it is showing. So just you can focus on this part here. Right, and now here when I'm selecting, you have the option a 16 color image. Right, so you have these options. When I consider this 16 color image, right, I can save it here. So let me show you that. So now I hope you are able to see this impact. Can you see the change? Yes, there is one query. Yes. Yes, do you have any query? Are you able to see the change in the previous picture? Now it is only with 16 colors. I have changed it. It is with only. Okay, it is only with 16 colors. Can you see this? Now previously it was a full color image. Now it is with only 16 colors. So at that time we are using the value of k as 2 raised to 4. We are using the value of k as 2 raised to 4. So that means we have 16 colors available with us. So size of the image will be definitely less. Also you can see that this image having a size 986 KB. You can see the size of the image is 986 KB. Now if I consider the previous image, the previous having a different size, right? So it depends on which compression we are using and everything, right? So when you change the format, it will definitely affect us. Now if I change this image to, okay, now let me change this image to a monochrome image. If I change this to a monochrome image, so now here let me give you number 3. It is pure black and white. So now you can see it is pure black and white. You don't find any shades of gray. You don't find any shades of gray. Is it clear? Are you getting the point? So it is a pure monochrome image, only two colors, black and white. So value of k is equal to 1 here. So 2 raised to 1 is 2. So you can see the size of the image. It is reduced. It is a BMP image, 246 KB. You can see here the size of the image is 246 KB. It is a BMP image. The previous one which we have gone through, it is a 16 color image. It is a 16 color image. Size is 986 KB. It is a 986 KB. That's how you can see this thing. Similarly, the original image. Here it is, original image is in a compressed form. So that's why you are getting less size. That's why you are getting a less size. And it is in a JPEG format, but it is a full color image. So basically, depend on the K, the size of the image will vary. That is the point which I want to highlight over here. So now let me share the original screen again. Let's come back to that. So here we are. The size of the image is number of rows and columns, and K is the number of bits. So when K is 1, it is a pure monochrome image, pure black and white, no shades of gray. Similar to that, when you are taking K equal to 2, it is 2 raised to 2. We have 4 different gray levels possible. So L will be equal to 4. So that's how you can decide the size of the image. So if it is a grayscale image with 256 gray levels, normally we are using 256 gray levels, 0 to 255. So at that time we are taking the value of K is equal to 8. So 2 raised to 8. That will give you 256 different gray levels. So you can see that how the number of gray levels will affect the image. So now in this particular chart, you can see that image is of size 32. So 32 cross 32 image is there. The image is of size 32 cross 32. And if I use only K equal to 1, then 32 cross 32 into 1. So it will give you 1024. That is obvious because it is 2 raised to 10. Now for the same image, the size of the image will be same, but you are adding more details into it by adding more gray levels into it. Because as you add more gray levels, the picture will be more clear. The picture will be more and more clear because we have more different variations of the colors. So when I take K equal to 2, the number of gray levels will be 4, 2 raised to 2. So size of the image will be 32 cross 32 cross 2. Is it clear? It is 32 cross 32 cross 2. That is how you are getting this. Because K is equal to 2. Because our image is a square image. Similarly, if I increase the gray level to 256, the last column, then the K will be equal to 8. We are using exactly 8 bits. We are using exactly 8 bits. So the size of the image will be 32 cross 32 because it is a square image cross 8, which is multiplied with 8, where 8 is the number of bits to represent the image. So when you look at the picture, the size of the picture will remain same. It will not increase, it will not decrease because number of rows and columns are equal and same for the first row. But the minute details, the picture details will be more and more clear. As you increase the number of gray levels in the picture will be more sharp, it will be more clear, it will be more crisp, which so that you can see the minute details very well. You can see the various shades of skin if we have more gray levels in the image. If you have less gray levels, you cannot see the different shades of skin. They will all look equal. So definitely, if you increase the number of rows and columns of the image, You can increase the size of the image. Also, if you increase the number of gray levels of the image, the number of bits required to represent the image, then also size of the image will increase. So you can increase the size of the image, the storage size, in two ways. You have two ways to increase the storage size. Either you increase the number of rows and columns. That's what today most of the cameras are doing. You are able to get a 48 megapixel image. So that 48 megapixel is what? They are increasing what in that? They are increasing the size, that is number of rows and columns. And normally 48 megapixel and 12 megapixel are used for various advertisement boards. We want that kind of picture clarity in the advertisement boards. So that's why you can see a 48 megapixel camera. You can take a very sharp picture with so many pixels. So when you are increasing a megapixel means you are increasing the size of the image in terms of rows and columns, in terms of number of rows and number of columns, nothing else. But if you increase the gray level, then also you can increase the size of the image, so its picture will be more clear. So these are the two different ways through which you can increase the size of the image. Yes, any query up to this point? Can we proceed further? Yes, can we proceed further? Okay, so this about a definition of digital image. So normally this kind of questions you will find in the various competitive exams or in MCQ or in short questions. That given the size of the image and the number of bits, calculate the storage size of the image. Next is what is a digital image processing. So basically, the field of digital image processing refers to processing of digital images by means of a digital computer. So when you are using a digital computer, nowadays we can also add the word mobile. The processing of the image through a digital device, any device, it can be mobile, tablet, anything. And if you process your image, then it is known as a digital image processing. And most of you are doing that because nowadays lot of apps are available on the mobile through which you can improve your face. And most of you are doing that while putting a pictures on the status or while uploading your pictures on your any social account. You are doing some processing so that you will look more handsome or beautiful. So that is what a digital image processing is. And also you can see a lot of advertisements related to that. So any software which you are using to process your image, right? So that is nothing but a digital image processing is. You can give effect to your image, right? So it is a digital image processing. Actual picture you are looking different, but you are adding certain processing software. You will apply certain algorithm on your image, and it will transform your image into some another form. So it is nothing but a digital image processing. So if you look at into the history of digital image processing, this is the earlier picture. This is the first image of a sports. You can see this digital image is produced in 1921. It is 2021, so 100 years back. Exactly 100 years back, the first image was printed on the telegraph. You can see that person is running. It is a sports event. So this was the first picture exactly 100 years ago invented, and that was the so 100 years back this image processing field was invented. Then the second picture you can see as compared to first one, the first one is much more clear. You can see, and that was in 1922. Then so definitely you don't have to remember this. This is just for your knowledge. Then the third picture we can see, which is also very popular, that is 19. It is unretouched picture. It is unretouched picture that was in 1929, which was transmitted from London to New York through a 15-ton equipment. Using a 15-ton equipment, it was transferred from London to New York for the newspaper, and two people are doing a handshaking in that. Then you can see later on, you will find a picture which is taken from the by the space craft of the moon. This is the first picture of the moon taken with Ranger 7 in 1964. So this is how you can see that digital image processing field has been started, and right now after 100 years we are learning that subject, that how what a digital image processing is. So now let us go into what is the difference between image processing and computer vision. So basically in image processing, if we have a noisy image, we'll also see what is a noise in the image. Sometimes when you take a picture and your hand will shake, then you will find a blurring effect in the picture. So it is one kind of noise. So blurred image is a one kind of a noisy picture. Sometimes if there are dust particles are there on your lens, then when you take a picture you will find various dots in the picture. So it is also one kind of noise in the image. Also you can see that if you take a picture when there is a fog, then that effect will be also visible in the picture. So it is also one kind of noise. So if you remove a noise from the image, it is a digital image processing. Finding the edges and features in the image. If you take any picture and if you extract the feature from it, like if it is a fruit, you can extract the features like color of the fruit, shape of the fruit, texture of the fruit, right? So that is nothing but a feature extraction. So if you do a feature extraction, it is a digital image processing. Finding the edges, because if you want to find out the shape of a banana apple, you have to focus on the edges of that apple. If you get that round shape, you can say it may be apple or pomegranate or orange or something like that. Then second feature will be the texture of that particular object. So you can see the texture of apple is different from orange, texture of apple is different from pomegranate. So that's how you can extract the features. More attractive features you will extract from the image, you are able to recognize that image very well. So we have to do edges extraction and features from the image, so that it is a digital image processing. Filling in missing information in an image. Sometimes what will happen that when you take a picture, let me give you an example of any monuments of any country. So that monuments are not completely new, they are several years old, and you may find that some particular uh, portion of that monument is damaged. So if you consider any window of any palace, it is having a specific design. So that window is not full complete window. You may find some portion of that window is missing in that when you take a picture. So through a image in painting, this field is known as image in painting. You can feel that missing information, and that is known as a restoration. It is known as one kind of restoration of the picture. So when you take a picture, you know that in this picture this window is damaged, so some portion of that window is missing. So what you can do, you can take the adjacent area of that window, and from that you will fill that missing gap. So it is known as image in painting. Also you will find lot of images on Google related to image in painting. So it is a very common thing. If I will share you one picture, you can also identify that. It is very popular. We can do that kind of thing, and people are really doing that. So here I'm sharing one screen right now, one more time with you. Different screen so that you can understand this. Okay, so I will show you that as well. So I think now you are able to see that screen as well. Let me share that screen. Can you see this? Yes. Are you able to see this? So this is an example of image imprinting. Some information is missing. You can see. So because through other features, the nearby features, you can get the tone of that particular skin. You will get the shape of the eye from the another eye, and that's how you can feel the details, right? And this is just one example that you need to have more images of that person or some another images so that you can complete the remaining portion. So it is not necessary that you have only one image. You may have several images, and based on other images you can complete the information in the missing picture. So I hope you understood what is image in painting. So let us again go back to our main screen. So this is all about image processing. Next is computer vision. So in computer vision, normally it deals with a motion camera. It is dealing with a motion camera. So finding moving objects in a scene. So if it is a moving object, we can recognize for that moving object in the scene. Recognizing faces from a database. So if you consider any video database and you have to recognize a particular person, you can use a computer vision field. Build abstract models of the world from the images. If you will be given so many images of a particular object, front view, side view, top view is given. From that you can generate a 3D model, and that is known as a computer vision. So these are some of the areas which will come under computer vision. It is obvious thing. You might have studied in your first year of your BTech that you have given a plan and elevation and other details. From that, you have to generate a 3D model. Normally, CAD softwares and other softwares are right now doing that thing, right? So you have given a plan, you have given an elevation, side view, top view, front view, all that details, and you are able to generate a 3D model of that particular machine or some component. So that is nothing but a computer vision. So if we consider this, we have three main parts: the low level image processing, which is coming under digital image processing; middle level image processing like segmentation, representation, image description, that will come under middle level image processing. So this includes both computer vision and digital image processing. And high level processing, making sense of an ensemble of recognized objects. That means once you recognize the object, what is the interpretation, what that scene is indicating. So making a sense of an ensemble of recognized objects. So I will give you an example of a crime scene. So normally in crime scene, you will find that person is there, some objects like gun is there, and you can see the environment. So from that image, it is generating a description that automatically it is generating an alarm that this is a crime scene. So if live cameras are there, if camera can do that processing and generate an alarm that someone needs a help, someone is beating another person, someone is killing some another person, so immediately it will inform the uh, police, and immediately help can be called. So that is known as making a sense of an ensemble of recognized objects. So that is what comes under computer vision. We have an input image sequence and output is the interpretation. So it is very obvious thing. If there is a swimming pool and if there is a camera set over there, then camera can recognize that some 8 or 7 year boy is going into a swimming pool and he is calling for help. So if live camera is there, it will interpret that event. It can immediately generate an alarm that there is immediate help required at the swimming pool. So that kind of thing is known as that is the ultimate goal of this computer vision. You have to make a sense of an ensemble of recognized objects, and it is obvious that sometimes that boy may not be able to uh, call for the help because he is not in that situation. So if such kind of camera will generate an alarm at the swimming pool, it will be helpful to the kids. So that is known as a high level image processing. So I hope you are getting my point. Any query up to this? Yes, do you have any query? Can we proceed further? Okay, so let us go with the more details. So if we represent this three level of image processing in computer vision, I can represent in the form of diagram as well. That low level processing is image acquisition and pre-processing, like enhancement. Normally you are doing using your mobile app, improving the image. It is known as a low level image processing. Then extracting the features and generating a description. So image representation, segmentation, that will come under intermediate level processing. Definitely we have chapters, individual chapters for all these topics in the book. And the high level processing, as I told, recognition of the person and interpretation of the image, that will come under high level image processing. So image processing is a very vast field. Image processing and computer vision are intermixed because computer vision deals with a sequence of images while image processing deals with individual image. So computer vision is just applying the concept of image processing to a set of images, to a video. So these two are intermixed fields, and that's what you should understand from this diagram. So now let us focus on the few applications of image processing. So definitely we know that we have electromagnetic spectrum. Gamma rays are there, X-rays, ultraviolet rays are there. Then we have visible band also. We have infrared, microwaves, radio waves, and for different bands, we are able to generate the images using different specialized hardwares. Specialized sensors are available to generate a infrared image, to generate a X-rays and others. So we have different devices are available which can generate this kind of images. You might have seen infrared images, you might have seen X-rays and other MRI images, radio waves, and normal visible band. So basically in different areas we have applications. So now let us consider the first one. The first is we are considering a gamma ray imaging. So through gamma rays, as you can see in this, it is a bone scan, it is a tomography image, second one. Third is a Cygnus loop, and fourth one is gamma radiation from a reactor valve. So through a gamma rays, through a specialized hardware, this kind of images can be captured and we can apply image processing on it. So we can perform image processing by taking pictures under a gamma rays. These devices are very costly because it is not for a normal human use. The first example, it is very obvious. We have some X-ray images. Then second is a printed circuit board. CT scan of the head is also there. So that's how you can generate X-rays of various images, and you can apply image processing algorithms on it to extract the various information from it. The next one is in the ultraviolet band. It is a normal cone, image of the cone. The second is a smart cone. So you can see that through ultraviolet hardware, you can also extract this kind of images. The next one is in the infrared band, we have certain applications of image processing. The first one is a Taxol, which is an anti-cancer agent, which is magnified at 250x. So if you take a picture of that anti-cancer drug, and if you zoom it up to 250 level, 250x zoom, then you can see this kind of picture. The second is a blood cholesterol, which is zoomed at 40x level. The third is microprocessor, which is zoomed at 60x. You might have seen a microprocessor, very small chip in your computer, right? Which is of size not more than 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter. But if you zoom it up to a 60x, you will see this kind of picture. The next one is nickel oxide thin film, which is zoomed to 600x level. Surface of audio CD or DVD, you can see in the next picture. And through this, you are able to you are able to see the songs, or you can play back any audio and video files. The last one is superconductor image, which is zoomed at 450x level. So you can see that once these pictures are taken at such a high level of zoom, you can perform image processing and you can detect the issues in it. The next one is, this is a mountain image which is taken through a microwave imaging. So you can see this is the mountain range in the southeast Tibet. It is taken from the Tibet area, southeast area of the Tibet, and it is taken through a space-borne radar, and they have used a microwave rays for it. So it is a microwave band image processing. Similar to that, if we are using a radio wave which is having a different range, then we can generate this kind of MRI images. That is, knee image is given, then spine image is given. So for this MRI, the radio waves are used. Now our main area, which we can understand easily, the visible spectrum, which we can visualize through our normal eyes. So you can see the first image is an image of a circuit board. The second is tablets. So if the tablet is damaged, you can see it here, or if there is a dent, you can identify from the package itself. The third one is taken from the cold drink factory. You can see that in the middle bottle, the sufficient amount of cold drink is not filled in. So you can see that thing, and you can identify that it is either bottle is having a leakage problem, or there is some issue with the inlet valve. That's why it is not filled properly by the automated machine. So just we can use image processing for this kind of task. The next one is bubbles in the plastic. So if there are bubbles in the plastic, that plastic will be of no use in a short span of time. So that's what you can identify through image processing. Automated image processing can be used for that. You can develop an algorithm which will detect these things. The next one is a serial. The second bottom last, left most in the bottom. So this is how you can have visible band. This is not only one such area. You can also see another applications in the visible band. The first one is, you can see that it is a fingerprint image. Then second is a currency. The other ones are automated license plate reading. So this you have observed at different toll centers. There, once your car will move at a toll center, there is a camera at a certain distance. It will take a picture of the number plate, and that's how that number will be stored in the database, that which car has passed through this particular toll gate. So these are some of the applications. Here you can see a tungsten filament which is zoomed at 250x level, and it has a thermal failure. Tungsten filament is nothing but your bulbs, old bulbs. Nowadays we are using LCD and LEDs, but previously we are using a tungsten filaments. So it is showing a thermal failure in it, which is zoomed at 250x level. The next one is damage integrated circuit, which is also zoomed at 2500 level. If you zoom that image at 2500 level, you can find this kind of image for the PCB. Another is fractal. So I hope you are aware with the fractal. So normally when you see the pictures, you will find that some mountain range is generated in certain pictures. So that is through the fractals. So fractal means, we can say the log of a wood. When you can say log, so that log is nothing but a fractal. The same pattern is repeated. When you look at the leaf from any plant, then that leaf pattern is a fractal. The same small pattern is repeated, and that's how that leaf is created. So fractal is that. So the first A and B are fractal images. So you can see in the first one, it is one kind of a flower kind of an image. And the second one is the image of a mountain. So basically this kind of mountains, which are not the real mountains, they are constructed through fractals. They are taking a small particular area of a mountain, and that same area is repeated in the entire picture. So you feel like a mountain. So that is how the fractals are generated. Similarly, a 3D image of a different body parts can be also generated through image processing. So these are the applications which you will find in your textbook. Whatever images I have taken so far are from the textbook. Now other image processing applications which are popular nowadays, now we'll focus on that. So inserting an artificial object into a scene. So that is nothing but an image processing and mix of computer vision. You can see that this a teapot is added into this scene, so which is an artificial object. Another example of this kind of thing is you can find in various action movies, in Hollywood movies. Also you can see this kind of artificial object like Stuart Little in the movie. So that is an artificial object which is inserted into a scene. The scene is taken through a camera, and then later on this artificial object Stuart Little, that small mouse, is added into the scene. So that is also an image processing with computer vision, because that is done on every frame, not on one image. Then this is also very popular. That person is converted into some monster or gorilla. So it is image morphing. When you are doing image morphing, you can do this kind of things, that a human face is transformed into a face of a monster or gorilla. So it is a also one kind of image processing application. This application in the area of medical image processing, where you can see that there is a certain kind of change in color of the skin in the body. So this change is indicating one kind of skin cancer. It is an indication of a skin cancer. So this kind of area, you can see that edges are detected, that in how much area that skin has been changed, and the size is measured. So basically, through for this irregular shape, we need to find out the algorithm that can measure the size of this shape and detect the area which is affected by the skin cancer. So this is how in medical science also we can use image processing. This is one more activity. Human activity recognition. You can see that two people are coming from two different sides. They are coming towards each other. Now they are talking for in the next frame. And now you can see in the first frame, the bag is with a person, which is represented with blue color. Now in the third frame, you can see that the same bag, which is recognized as an object, so that is with another person, and that is with a red color. You can see that through image processing and computer vision, you can recognize the person, you can recognize the object like bag, and you can generate this kind of output, because other things are least important. The background scene and other things are least important. Important thing is two people are meeting at a certain point for a fraction of second, and they are just exchanging the bags. They are not talking so much also, you can see. So it is just in a very small time span. So this is also one application of image processing. So now we are running out of time, so I will stop the session here. More about this image processing we'll see in the next lecture.